He's been referred to as the last of the great heavyweights. Lennox Lewis won the World Heavyweight Championship 3 times. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show coming up. We are very excited about today's special guest. He was born in England. He grew up in Kitchener, where he took up boxing. He won multiple Canadian titles. He is a 2-time Commonwealth Games champion. He was the 1983 World Junior Champion. He was the 1988 Olympic heavyweight gold medalist. His professional record, 42-2-1 with 32 knockouts. The WBC heavyweight champion, 3-time world heavyweight champion, 2-time undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox the Lion Lewis. Program, my friend.
Hey, how you doing?
It's almost like I've done that before, Lennox, honestly. That was
Listen,
pretty good.
I was gonna go, wow, this is taking long, man. I got so much so much behind my name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. That's just the half of it, my friend. So I watched a documentary not too long ago, recently released, Lennox Lewis, The Untold Story. Terrific film. It got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I encourage everybody to see it. I think I tuned on Crave TV in Canada. It's narrated by Dr. Dre. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
Dr. Dre
pretty
narrated.
cool.
Yeah. And tell me, what do you think of Dre's performance at the halftime show at the Super Bowl?
Let me tell you, everybody's gonna remember that. Everybody's gonna remember that. I was amazing, and all the great rappers were there. 50 Cent was there. I wish Ice Cube would have been there, but they can only fit so many people on the stage. But it was a great performance. I think a lot of people are gonna remember that for a long time.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. You know, I felt quite emotional though, just watching it. Like more than any Super Bowl halftime show I've seen, I felt like a lot of emotion. And
Yeah.
there's a lot there. But I want to talk about you, the champion, of course, because like I watched that movie and that doc and some great video that I've never seen before. Of course, I've seen all your fights. I've followed you since I was a rookie and at CTV in Toronto, I some behind the scenes footage. You and in the dressing room before the fights, and I remember seeing Adrian in there and Chris and Egerton and your boys, and
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. That was really amazing behind the scenes footage. Um, what was it like to put that together, to film that documentary, and were you happy with the result?
Yeah, I was happy with the results. I mean, the main thing that I was happy with is people actually seeing behind the curtain. What actually happens before a fight, before I even step into the ring. A lot of people always see the finished product of me stepping in the ring, but they've never seen me in my dressing room, my preparation before I get out to walk towards the fight. Even the music changes, and I become more relaxed, and the people that surround me that are in my dressing room hyping me up, and just the format right before you step into the ring. A lot of people didn't see that, so I like that aspect. And even my whole life in boxing, what I was going through, nobody really knows. So the documentary really tells it all, and gives a lot of information about what's been happening in my whole career. So I think the people will love it. And like you said, 100 on Rotten Tomatoes, and everybody that I see are always saying they love it, and that they're gonna tell their friends to watch it and everything. So if you don't know anything about Lennox Lewis, the documentary tells a lot about me and where I come from.
Well, Very for sure. And I want to talk a little bit about where you come from because that's talked about in the documentary. So you're born in England, and you were there till
Mhm.
you were 12 years old. What was it like in those early years, particularly after your father left and living in England? What was it like for you?
It was to me it was okay. As a kid, you don't know what's good and what's bad. You're just living life and living every day and hopefully being happy. And I was pretty happy. I lived with a person where my mom actually entrusted to look after me for a little bit, and she couldn't really look after me too long. So I actually went into a group home where it was really for kids that were bad and committed crime and stuff. And when they realized I wasn't that type of kid, they moved me to another one, which is out in the country, to a farm where we had like about 8 dogs and 8 kids. So we had a lot of attention, and that was my first um, schooling or away from my mom for a long time. She actually immigrated to Canada at that time, and it was just a situation of just reunited me and my mom together, and that's what caused me to come over to Canada, because reunited with my mom.
So why did she decide to move to Kitchener or Canada and particularly Kitchener?
Yeah, I mean, she had some friends that were over there, and she moved down to Kitchen to be close with her friend. That's when she called me over, and I was there, and I learned about hockey and snow for the first time.
Tell us about your thoughts about Canada.
Well, getting off the plane first time, I could hear my mom shouting, "That's my son! That's my son! That's my son!" And I was like looking around for her, and she came up to me and she was screaming and crying. She gave me a big hug, a big kiss, and I remember she brought a winter coat for me, and I was like, "Winter coat?" Not used to
Uh,
somebody bringing a coat for me. And we went outside, and I seen this white fluffy snow, and I picked it up, and that was the first time actually seeing snow and feeling snow for the first time. So that was a memorable moment for me.
and then, of course, you go to school, and things get weird right off the hop.
Yeah, like first time to school, my mom said, "Stay out of trouble, listen to the teacher." She doesn't want to get no phone call from work that she has to come to the school. And I remember going there for the first time, and some kid came up to me and said he wants to fight me, and I was horrified. Like, yo, this kid wants to fight me. I can't fight. I don't want to get in trouble. My mom's gonna, uh, you know, be mad that I'm fighting in school. Everybody was circle around me, and some of the kids said, "Fight him, fight him, fight him." And so I said, "Okay." I put up my hands, and we had gloves, little mittens at the time, so it wasn't like bare fisted or anything like that. It was more of a boxing match. Anyway, I hit him 2 times. He went down. I thought the fight was over. He came back, tapped me on the shoulder. He said, "Let's do it again." And I'm like, this is a crazy Canadian custom that is going on. Anyway, I knocked him down again, and he got up and he said, "Okay, yeah, me and you can be friends now." So it's like, yo, I had to really prove myself. This kid with this British Cockney accent talking. I guess that's what that was. I got initiated.
That's how your initiation went. Okay. So, I mean, you,
Yeah.
you were a terrific athlete in high school. Lennox, you played football, helped lead your team to a championship. You played basketball. I think you led your team to the AAA championship. How did you decide on boxing?
Boxing came easy for me. Being involved in team sports all the time, such as basketball, football. I remember going to a football game, and there's like 50 kids on the football team, and two guys dropped the ball, and that's it. It all depended on two guys. We lost the game. And I remember we had another football tournament coming, and a boxing tournament. And the boxing tournament allowed you to go, around the country. In Vancouver, I had a tournament in Vancouver, and I figured to myself, individual uh, individual sports is better for me, because it all really depends on one person. That's yourself. So I did well in boxing because of that.
Right. It's pretty hard to point the finger at somebody else when it's just you in the ring, right? That's
Right.
one of
It
the things
all
I love
comes
about
down
boxing
to
as well.
you. In
So
boxing, it
tell
all
me about
comes down
Arnie
to you.
Beam. Right, it
Arnie
does because
was a
all you
great role model,
tell me about Arnie.
great father figure, um, overall great man. He used to take 15 kids in his truck in his Suburban to boxing tournaments. We used to come to Toronto, come to Sully's, and um, go into his tournament there. And you know, Arnie, bless his soul, would give of himself so much, and we definitely remember him and love him, and wish he was still here. But I know he's looking down proud on all the kids he was involved in, not just me.
Well, you had a tough go in the upbringing, in respect of upbringing, Lennox. I mean, growing up almost by yourself and being, going to the farm in England and the other place before that, and so now you come to Kitchener. You're finally reunited with your mom again, and how important was, say, Arnie in terms of guiding you and giving you direction, and how important was boxing in that regard as well?
Yeah, I think Arnie was very important because I didn't have a father figure at the time. And, my mom really found me like hard to deal with because I wasn't listening to her. And I think
Hmm.
boxing was a great way out for me. It got me focused, it learned me discipline. And, Arnie was really excited about me. He said I was going to be champion before I even knew I was going to be champion. So, that shows what hard work, dedication, and focus can really lead to. And that's what really helped me in my career. Hard work, focus, dedication, the will of saying that I can do it. And, having good people around me. I remember some days Arnie would come and get me from my house. So, I wasn't going to the gym. He would say, "Yeah, well, come to the gym," and come and pick me up. And that really helped me because it still kept me focused on the gym, kept me focused on what I needed to do. He was telling me the right things, sacrifice, listen to my mother, clean up my room, all those things that a father would step in and do. He was there for me in that respect.
You had a couple of great amateur coaches in Arnie and Adrian T. to rescue as well. And uh, when did you know that you were a guy who could bring home an Olympic gold medal? When did you come to that realization, and how?
Listen, at one point in my career, Arnie said, "Listen, I'm going to take you down to Toronto to Adrian Tedesco. There's only so much I can show you. This man can show you more." And looking back at that, I really respect Arnie for doing that because he knew what he was capable of and not capable of. And when he took me to Adrian taught me a different philosophy and the European, the Russian way, uh, the Romanian way of
Romanian.
sport. Yes, he went to actually Russian university to learn to be a doctor of phys ed, and he would tell me stories about that all the time. But he was a great man, and his son still lives on his legacy in boxing. So his son's a trainer too, and helping young kids as well.
Armin, yeah. So now it's you're good. You're going to the 1988 Olympics, and uh, the big challenge. Of course, everybody knows it's going to be Riddick Bowe. You're
He's
facing for the
18 years
gold
old.
medal,
Here he is. He's 4
and
years old.
Yeah.
now here's your fight against Riddick Bowe. Now in the first round, Bowe hit you pretty good. Looked like he won the round for sure, and you had to dig down deep in that second round. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, Bo won the first round because he surprised me. His best punch was the uppercut, and I put my head down for it. And I remember, that was a big problem I had in the amateurs. Sometimes I put my head too low and not keeping your head up. And that was a situation where he caught me, and it was really just a wake-up shot for me. It's like I was so upset that I got caught with that punch that I came out, furious the next round, and I said, yo, I came to the Olympics to win. So, if I lose and I've still got breath left, then I didn't work hard enough. I've got to work until I can't work no more, and that's what I went out in the second round to do. I said he's gonna have to hurt me bad or knock me out to win, because I'm going for it.
How did it feel to put that gold medal around your neck, and knowing that it was the first Canadian gold medal in boxing in over a half century since Horace Lefty Gwynn, I think in 1936 or 32 or something like that. Uh, and for me as a boxing guy and a Canadian, I mean that moment was just so wonderful, so thrilling to see you dancing around the ring like that, and winning that gold medal for Canada. What was it like at that moment for you?
Oh, I was really overjoyed. I was very happy. A lot of people going into the Olympics didn't had me not winning. Oh, he won't win it. But I wanted to prove everybody right. This is my second time at it. And I said, I'm not coming here for the second time for nothing. They're gonna have to take me out on a stretcher. So that's how focused I was. And I was really happy beating Riddick Bowe. Riddick Bowe was talking about me before the Olympics, saying how he's going to beat up everybody, he was going to knock out everybody, he's going to win the Olympics. That the American boxers came over to me and said, "Hey, there's a guy named Riddick Bowe over there saying that he's going to knock you." I'm like, "Who's Riddick Bowe? I've never met this guy. Bring me to this guy." So we went around looking for Riddick Bowe all over the Olympic uh, uh,
Village.
uh, village. Finally found him, walked up to him, and I said, "Yo, I'm gonna knock you out." And he goes, "You ain't gonna knock out nobody." So I'm like, "Yeah, all right." So that was our first words. Our last words were the other day. He came down to Miami and he wanted to shake my hands. Um, so we shook hands still, you know what I mean. But I had my
Yeah.
hands up because he's known as a sucker puncher. So I was ready for it.
Well, you know what? Bo was so afraid of you that as a pro, he ran away from you and chose to drop the WBC belt into the garbage can rather than defend it against you. I mean, that tells you how afraid he was.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really understand it. If somebody beats you in the Olympics, obviously you want to get them back as a pro. So I thought we were going to meet as pros, because the last thing he said to me when I was when we were listening to our anthems, "Oh, I see you in pros, Lewis. I see you in the pros." So I was waiting for him in pros. He had a little advantage over me too. His advantage, he had a professional trainer. So that's why he could throw some good shots, because he had that professional schooling before the amateurs. Me, I had the amateur schooling. Now it was time for me to learn the professional schooling. Empty my cup as an amateur, fill up my cup as a pro.
Right. So as a pro, you decided to go to Britain to turn pro, and I know a lot of the reasons why. But tell us, those who are watching this, what made you make that decision? Why go to Britain, and why Frank Maloney as your
Well, there's
manager?
a couple reasons. Yeah, a couple reasons. Boxing wasn't that big in Canada, for one thing. Second reason, I wanted to go to America, but at that time, a lot of the American promoters were after Tyson, Holyfield, and those guys. And then being from England with a British background, there wasn't really anybody over there that was really representing the heavyweights. Only Frank Bruno and Gary Mason at the time, and I thought they were
Mm-hmm.
old. So, Frank Maloney, which is a promoter in England, called me and said, before I sign any contract, to see him first. So I went over to see Frank Maloney because I wanted to see all the promoters and get a feel of them and see what they were like and see if my spirit would take them. Anyway, when I went over there, it was after meeting the Duvers and a couple other promoters, Don King. When I went over to England, Frank Maloney and Roger Levitt said, "Listen, we want you to be part of our team. We're starting a management company, and you're the man. And what do you want? I said, well, could I get a house? Yep. Could I get a car? Yep. And those were the main things: house and car, making. And I actually put education in there, going back to school, so they would pay for that too. So they paid for everything.
Well, it turned out to be a pretty good deal for you. And as when looking back, it was an amazing move. It worked out really well. And of course, for those people who say, well, you won a gold medal for Canada, why didn't he stay here? It all comes down to the bottom line, Lennox. Nobody who was offering the kind of money that you were going to get there, just as plain and simple as that. So you weren't going to get the kind of, tutelage you needed. You weren't going to get the kind of money you needed.
Yeah, or the platform. I mean, it was kind of weird throughout my whole pro career. In Canada, didn't really show my fights, and the only fights they really showed over and over was the one I lost. So, I wasn't really getting too much support from Canada at that time, but I definitely had a Canadian flag on my trunks.
Yes, you did, and those of us who know you and who followed you all the way along, we were really appreciative of what you did, and it was amazing. So now you finally got your chance at the title. I was actually there in 1993, May 8th. You got that. This is your first chance to defend your title after you got it given to you after Bo threw it away. I was in Vegas for covering that that fight for CTV here against Tony Tucker. You dropped in the 8th round, but Tucker gave you a pretty good scrap. Were you surprised that he was able to go the distance with you?
Let me say, Tony Tucker is a great fighter, great boxer, great mover. He actually has that same type of style I have, and I call him the Don King hitman, because if Don King loses a fight and one of his heavyweights lose a fight, usually Tucker goes and gets that title back for him. But I wanted to fight Tucker for the longest time to show him that I was better than him. And the only way you can see if you're better than the person is if we both get together in the ring and we fight. But he showed me a couple of tricks. He was quick. He had a great jab. I had a great jab. So it was a battle of the jabs, battle of the pugilist specialists who knew more in boxing. I had a great amateur career coming into the pros, and I was learning the pro style and everything. He already had it. He was like, he's been through many camps with Don King and a lot of Don King's heavyweights. So he was used to that type of boxing. But because I'm a great athlete, I think that's what really won and paid off in the fight with him. I was a little bit quicker and a bit better mover.
Well, okay, so you become Canadian, you become world heavyweight champion, and a little while later, another Canadian made his mark. Because we had Donovan Bailey on the show a little while back, and we had this little conversation. So let's listen to that.
I'm definitely blessed and humbled. That day, and definitely every single day from that day onwards.
It was beautiful. I mean, so I just want to look at these numbers here. You were running 12.10 meters per second, 43.6 kilometers an hour, 27.1 miles per hour, fastest ever by any human being on planet Earth. That's pretty cool. I mean, that whole thing is that's pretty cool. I just have to say, there's two things that I think are the coolest sporting achievements there are. One is fastest man on the planet. One's heavyweight champion of the world. And you got to experience one of those things. And our buddy Lennox Lewis got to experience the other one, right? So that's pretty cool.
At the same time.
Now, yeah, at the same time. At the same time. How cool is that? Yeah. Canada rules, baby. Canada rules.
Absolutely.
So there you go. Here we are, the world's fastest man, world heavyweight champion at the same time. What do you think of that?
Yeah. That's great. I mean, you really put Canada on the map. Canada has a lot of secret weapons, and obviously Donovan Bailey and Lennox Lewis was two of them.
Yeah, both with Jamaican heritage too. How's that? And then there's another Jamaican who did all right, named Usain Bolt. So that's pretty good. Um,
Yeah. You know
so
what the secret is?
what's that?
Do you know what the secret is?
No.
Reggae music, baby. Reggae music. We got the vibe
Little
going
Bob
on. Got the
Marley.
vibe going
Yeah, yeah.
on.
Loving Bob, yeah. Okay, so you had some stunning knockouts, Lennox, along the way. Big Mike Weaver, Frank Bruno, Franz Botha, Michael Grant. Now the big punch was usually that right hand that sent people to sleep. But you also had an excellent jab, a great uppercut, which you're using right there, left hook
Yeah.
right there, you know, and the uppercut you went through that when the up right there. Here we go. So some
Mm.
people thought you would call you a kind of like a you're just the right hand guy, just a single kind of ability fighter here. But you proved it time and time again, man. You set the punch up with an amazing jab, but you also had great uppercut, great hook. How did you become such a tremendous, uh, you know, a fighter with that much versatility?
Well, what really helped is the amateurs, and I realized that the best amateur fighters are the Cuban fighters. And what is the thing that makes them so great? Well, a lot of repetition, a lot of training. They work hard, and they keep it simple. So if it's hitting you with the right hand and they've got the good left right combination, that's what they're trying to hit you with the whole night until it happens. And I remember somebody telling me and saying, "Yeah, you have a great right hand. Everybody's watching out for that." Oh, it's actually Emmanuel Stewart. He said everybody's watching out for your right hand, but they don't know about your uppercut. They don't know about your hook. Plus, we're going to develop that jab. So, if they feel that jab, they're not going to want to feel the right hand. So that's what I focused on. I just focused on perfecting my punches, making them better. I knew everybody was watching out for my right hand, so I perfected my hook and my uppercut. And it was great because everybody's watching my right hand in the fight. I would hit him with an uppercut. I would hit him with a hook, and it's like they're still watching for my right hand. Now
Uh-huh.
they got hit with two other punches. They don't know what to watch out for. So that was great.
Yeah.
That was a
So the
great thing for me because I was known as a right-handed puncher, and how I realized that because Manny said when you throw that right hand, how do you take somebody's right hand away? You turn away from it. Now when you keep on turning away from it, he ain't gonna want to throw that right hand too much, or he's gonna really overcompensate to throw that right hand, and that'll bring him off of his balance, and then you can take him.
well,
So for
speaking of
me,
Emmanuel Stewart. Oh, sorry. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, I was saying
Finish
for
the thought.
me,
Finish the thought.
yeah, being a pugilist specialist was very important. Learning all the crafts. Somebody said you better be able to box on the inside and the outside. And if you can't knock anybody out, you better be able to box.
Well, it's we're talking about Emmanuel Stewart, and what an amazing trainer. Probably the best, first certainly of our generation, last generation. Um, But you went to Manny after you lost that fight to Oliver McCall. It was a stunner. It was your fourth title defense, and I remember watching that fight, absolutely stunned. But it just seems to me that just for a moment there, you lost your focus. He landed the right hand. It came out. It looked like you had the fight under control. Everything was going your way, and then all of a sudden he lands that right hand. And tell us what happened. Is that like just a lapse of concentration? Is that what happened to you?
Let me tell you, he seen me getting ready to throw that right hand. And he threw his right hand after I threw my right hand. His landed on my chin. So, you know, these things only come around once in a while. And I say it was a lucky punch. And a lucky punch is a punch thrown one time, lands one time. So it was a lucky punch. I got up. The referee really
Yeah,
didn't
stopped
allow
it
me
early.
to continue. He didn't
Yeah.
allow me to continue. A heavyweight fight. I get knocked down in the first round. I get up and he didn't allow me to continue. So I thought something was kind of weird with that, and it wasn't. It was weird until I got I left after the fight, and I was going to the dinner, and I seen the ref in a big table with Don King, and they were sitting in the
Uh-huh.
big table, smiling and laughing. So I'm like, wow,
Uh-huh.
that was Don King's ref doing that.
Well, and it took you 2.5 years, 2.5 years of chasing this guy around before he finally gave you a chance to get your title back. The rematch was really strange. I mean, um, what was it like? I mean, you're expecting to fight Oliver McCall, but this time he breaks down in the ring and starts crying and like, how did you handle that?
Listen, I was prepared for anything. I was prepared for him coming out and trying to sneak me with a shot and do that surprise shot again. I was prepared for him coming out being stronger. I was prepared for him actually being really over ready for the fight. But he looked under ready mentally for the fight, and physically he was unprepared because I don't think he was in shape. But we heard rumors about him in camp basically taking off and not wanting to talk to reporters. He wasn't stable. He was going through definitely some problems, and at that point I didn't think he belonged in the ring. But with Don King, that's Don King's trophy right there. He has to step in the ring because if he doesn't, Don King doesn't get any money. So they kept him hidden. And finally, when they brought him out for the last press conference, he didn't show up. So we didn't know what to expect. But when he came out to the fight, we realized that he was going through some mental breakdown problems. Even the ref noticed it as well. And looking over to his corners, like they were fed up with it as well. They were like, "Yo, Don King put us out here. The guy's not stable, and this is what happens."
After the Oliver McCall loss, you hooked up with Emmanuel Stewart. How important was that uh, teamwork for for the advancement of your career?
Yeah, it was important for me because me and Emmanuel actually met on a couple different times, but he was busy training other fighters at the time. I think he was training Tyson or Holyfield. And this was a situation where he wasn't stable with Oliver McCall or Don King. So we found it was a great opportunity to grab Emmanuel and say, "Hey, come, I'm upcomer, and there's a lot of things that I need to be sorted out, and I'm sure that you're the man that can help me, and you're the trainer of champions." And he was a great trainer. We sat down. He told me what they did to plan to beat me. Basically, take away my right hand, and it worked for them. And I realized that he was not only a teacher but a professor of boxing, and me and him shared a lot of the same views. This is why he actually got me a job with HBO commentating. So he realized, he said, "Yo, you know boxing as well, man. You need to be out there. They need to hear you talk about boxing because you can break it down so well." So he was the inspirational person to help me get the first commentating job. He was the one to say, "Hey, go do it. You belong there."
And there was one more kind of mistake that you made, and that was against Hasim Rockman. And now he's managing your corner for this one. But now about that time when you fought Rockman again, to me it looked like just another freaking lucky punch. But I know there was a lot going on for you at that time. I mean, you were busy. You would be traveling around the world making Ocean's 11 at the time, I believe, and traveling to South Africa. I know that had an issue. That was an issue for you. Tell us about what happened and how that happened.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to keep busy because Tyson was coming out of jail and everything, so we wanted to keep busy. We wanted to keep busy with somebody that wasn't gonna fall over in the first or second round. Hasim Rockman was like seventh on the list, and we decided to box him. And obviously Muhammad Ali went to Africa, boxed in Africa. I'm a heavyweight. Muhammad Ali's my idol. I want to box in Africa. So I said, I want to box in Africa. So we organized a fight in Africa where it was very high altitude, and it was a situation where I had a fight coming up. Also had a part in a movie that I could do, and the part in the movie was only just 3 days. It was boring
Okay.
3 days. Basically, go to your dressing room, come out of the dressing room, shoot a sip, shoot something, go back in the dressing room. They're gonna fix the lights and the camera, go out, do the same thing about four times a day for 3 days. And then I actually went to South Africa for a week and prepared for my fight. I was prepared before that, but finishing my training and altitude training up there. Hasim Rockman was there 2 weeks before me, and I'm like, wow. The guy went up there 2 weeks
Yeah.
before me to get used to the altitude. That's what I should have did, because when I went into the fight, it was weird because I would throw a couple punches, then it felt like I was fighting for oxygen. So my whole vibe and my whole pace of what I box at actually changed. And it wasn't until the rematch with Hasim Rockman, because he threw a great punch, which my chin happens to be in the way of.
Yeah.
And again, obviously I wanted to continue, but I wasn't able to. But it was a great punch, and it was a situation where I wasn't fully ready for the fight. And the next fight, I was ready for. I said, okay, if it's gonna take that to beat me, I basically beat myself, and I need to really go in there, buckle down, focus, and get back in the ring. And the second fight, he couldn't really catch me. The punch that I knocked him out with was the same punch that I started off in the first round with. Where I almost caught him. I was inches away from hitting him with that punch. But I was
Yeah, the right hand.
I was a different man, and he knew that.
Well, you really do see the difference between the first fight and the second fight. In the second fight, there it is. I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever seen you more focused than you were in that second fight in any of your fights. It looked like this is I'm all business now. I mean, maybe Tyson, but you were really so focused in that fight.
Let me tell you, I was really focused. I put Hasim's picture up in my room, so every morning I would wake up and see his face. So that's how focused I was. Even when he stepped in the ring, I was looking at him the whole way, so focused. And he actually rekindled a flame that was dwindling inside me. So yeah, that really helped me get back, to my focus, which is being a champion. And that's what happened.
Well, the fact that you came back and won the title from Rockman, you were the only man at the time, I think, still to win the title 3 times, to regain the championship 3 times. Nobody's ever done that before, and that's one of the great things I think about your legacy is that yeah, you had a couple slip ups, you had a couple of mistakes, you got hit by a couple of punches, and that happened. That's going to happen in a heavyweight title fight for sure. But yet you came back and you avenged those 2 losses, and you're the only man who's done that.
Yes, I feel great by doing it. I look at it like this. If I didn't lose, I wouldn't know how great I would be, or how great I am, because that's what really the great test is testing if you can come back from a loss, testing if you can correct your mistake and make your mistake a victory. So that's what really brings the character of the person of a champion out.
And no doubt about that. I mean, and you get to retire undefeated, but going to get to that in just a second. First, I mean, you beat them all. You beat Mike Weaver, Shannon Briggs, Andrew Galata, Tommy Morrison, Merciless Ray Mercer, Razor Ruddock, Vitaly Klitschko, Evander Holyfield twice. Although in the first fight, somehow the judges saw this as a draw, and that's because one of the judges had Holyfield ahead. And I don't know how you have Holyfield ahead when basically you threw 200 more punches in this fight than Evander Holyfield did. How did that happen? How do you get a draw out of this fight?
That's what I want to know. I want to know. I think the people, or the people didn't really believe that I could do it. Oh man, he can't do it. We can't let this guy take the belts. So they've made it difficult for me. They wanted to see it again. I think everybody was very horrified of the fact that I lost the first one. That they really overwhelmed me with the match afterwards, showing that I was way ahead on the card. So they
Right.
they made it
It was,
unanimous
yeah,
the second fight.
right. There's no doubt when you looked at the scorecards for the second fight. But the first
Yeah.
fight, that was kind of ridiculous. I remember one judge said that she couldn't see the fight very well because the ref was in the way, so she missed a lot of your punches and yada yada yada. But
Yeah, they also they
anyway,
also found, they also found 100 grand in her bank account.
yeah, how'd that happen? How'd that happen? So, so now Mike Tyson. There are some who said that you were ducking Mike Tyson, but let me just give some people some background. First of all, when you were a teenager, you and Arnie traveled from Kitchener to the Catskills to track this Mike Tyson dude on up down, who you'd heard so much about, right?
Yeah.
And so you could spar with the guy. Tell us about that. About those people who say you were ducking Mike Tyson.
No, definitely not ducking Mike Tyson. Like you were right. I won the World Junior Championships in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic in 1983. And the biggest teams were American team, the Cuban team, and the Canadian team. And I remember, beating the Cuban champion, beating the American champion, and the American team said, "Well, you didn't beat the best." I'm like, "Who's the best?" They said, "Mike Tyson. He doesn't like taking planes. His manager doesn't like taking planes either." I'm like, I looked at my trainer, Arnie. I'm like, "Well, how far is the Catskills?" He said, "Well, it's not that far. It's in New York." I said, "Can we go?" He said, "Yeah, let's drive up there." So we drove up to the Catskills, visited Mike Tyson, sparred with him for a week. Great experience, great guy. He took me up into his room. He hanged this sheet and he showed me some old time fights I've never ever seen in my life. In fact, it's hard to see these old fights unless you know the names of the different fighters. But he had them all. His manager, Bill Caton, at the time, owned them, so he could watch and learn from old time fighters. He was telling me, he brought me up to the room and said, "Yeah, see how this guy really hits the elbow and hits you with the head and you don't even
Yeah.
know it?" And I was watching this thing and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. These guys actually fight dirty, but they get away with it." So back then, he was really being taught how to box and get away with a lot of different things. But he knew a lot about old time fighters. He knew a lot about a lot back then.
So he was definitely a missed. And now it's the when you finally got a chance to fight Tyson, uh, and what didn't you at one point didn't Don King offer you some money to not fight Tyson so he could fight Bruce Seldon and get a title?
Yeah, I got paid step aside money, and when you look at what they're trying to pay guys step aside money now, you know, as a winner, as a champion, they paid me step aside money. And that was because Mike Tyson just came out of incarceration. He didn't want to step into a hard fight first. He wanted another fight, which was the Bruce Seldon fight. And I'm like, yeah, I'm with it. He can do that. He can box Bruce Seldon. He has been out for a while, so that's fine.
So you finally did get him in the ring, and a lot of us were waiting for this fight because we were expecting it for a long time, and we finally got it done. What did it feel like for you to finally get your opportunity?
It felt great. This is a fight that's been eluding me for quite some time. I didn't want to retire without boxing Mike Tyson. A lot of people would always say, well, Mike Tyson was the best. He would have knocked out Lennox Lewis. Well, I wanted to end that kind of conversation and show the public that, I'm the best. I'm the last pugilist specialist. I am the best in the world. Nobody contests. I lay them all to rest.
And that you did. Yeah. And so like where what did he ever was there ever a time in this fight where you were a little bit worried, a little bit concerned that did he ding with a couple of shots and you think, oh well.
You know, Mike Tyson was unstable at that time, so everybody thought. But you know, he was. I think he was just wise as a fox, and I think it's in this fight. I was more concerned with him pulling my hair than biting my ear.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But
And
I,
so I
I
mean,
prepared my whole career for this fight. Emmanuel Stewart said Mike Tyson's going to be easiest fight, and I'm like, easiest fight? What do you mean? So it wasn't until we were getting ready for the fight, you know, he was saying, listen, there's a couple things Mike Tyson does that's going to help you in the fight. You know, when he comes in close to you, he's going to have his feet like this, one beside each other. All you have to do is push him back. So, you know, I tried that a couple of times and it worked. So I just kept on doing it. And I think, you know, Mike Tyson's a great guy, has great respect and great boxing knowledge. And it was a great fight to box a man like that, and that the respect that he showed me afterwards as well was unbelievable.
well, it turned out like as the fight progressed, you get stronger and stronger and stronger. We knew it was just a matter of time before you knocked him out. This is the former baddest man on the planet. Did it feel like you had some vindication here because he called you out? He bit your leg in the news conference. He said all kinds of things about eating your children, and you know, it's a little
Yes,
bit
it
wacky.
did. It did feel like vindication because of all that. You know, the fact I think the biggest one was biting my leg. You know, I've never had a
Mhm.
human bite me before. Dogs or whatever. I got bit by dogs, but a human being biting me. I was really horrified. And, you know, I could have said, oh, I don't want to box this guy. This guy's mad. This guy's he's crazy. I don't want to box him. I think that's what he wanted me to say. So I really was, you know, focused on him. The fact that he bit me, I looked at that as first blood. I'm going to take the second blood.
That you did. So you take care of Tyson, and that business is taken care of. You had one more major fight in your career. You close it out against Vitaly Klitschko, and once again in this fight, you had to dig down deep because the fight didn't start out well for you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we took a year off just celebrating after we beat Tyson. And then I wanted to come back with Kurt Johnson as my first fight, and then take Klitschko as my last fight in the year. But Klitschko paid Kurt Johnson off and said, "Let me go. I've been training. I'm ready. I'm ready for Lewis. Let me take him." So within a week, I switched my opponent, um, which was Kurt Johnson, to a 6'9" guy. And so that was pretty difficult to adjust to that really quickly. It took me a few rounds. So I would say I lost I lost those first 3 rounds, and then because of how I box, you know, I'm strong in the middle and at the end. So I started getting stronger in the middle. In this fight, it just took a while to reach him. The guy was 6'9". You know, I'm coming from boxing Mike Tyson. This is the first 6'9" guy that I boxed. And I had no sparring to prepare for him. But at my worst, I still beat him at his best, which was,
Right.
it was a fight. It wasn't pretty, but still I won.
Well, you did make some adjustments in that fight too. Like you weren't doing the same thing in the beginning as you were when you stopped him eventually.
No, I mean, let me tell you, you have to adjust in the fight. I mean, some fights a person can lose a fight because he wasn't able to adjust to the other person's style, and that person, you know, runs around, you know, jabbing him to death and scoring up the points. I wasn't going to allow this. I realized that they've never been in this type of a fight, and being in my kind of jungle. And in my jungle, there's only lions that survive. They're the king of the jungle. So I was a lion that day.
You were a lion throughout your career, definitely, Lennox.
Yes.
Now, Manny Stewart is one of the many who have said really that you're the last of the great heavyweights, and he said many said that you would have held your own against any heavyweight in any era. That's pretty high praise from a guy who's been
Oh,
around.
that's a unbelievable compliment. I mean, I look at it as, in a room filled with great men, I will be the last man standing.
Well, yeah, and you know what? I look at Lennox Lewis today, and I think, how would Lennox Lewis fare against a guy like Tyson Fury? Uh, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but I've got an idea how you do against Tyson Fury. I think what
Tell
happens
him,
with
tell him.
Tyson.
I
All
don't want
right.
to ring my own bell.
Okay, here's what's going to happen against Tyson Fury. In a similar fight, when Deontay Wilder hit Tyson Fury, Fury was able to weather the storm, stuck his jab in his face. But see, you're one of the few heavyweights who can match Tyson Fury jab for jab, and you
Yeah.
got way more power than he ever had, and you were one of the best closers that the division has seen. So what's going to happen is when Tyson Fury gets hurt by that punch, unlike Deontay Wilder, who couldn't finish the job, Lennox Lewis finishes the job. So
Yeah.
there you go. And
Also,
yeah,
I'm a body puncher too, so his body would get wrecked as well.
right. Yeah, and that's something Wilder was just a headhunter,
Yeah.
right? For sure.
And just to note, Tyson Fury is a great champion right now. He's the man. He's
He
the
is.
number one heavyweight on the planet right now. So enough respect go out to him.
For sure, no doubt about it. I think he's the best fighter out there.
Yeah.
Against Usyk, I think he and you would both do the same thing against Usyk, having that ability to keep a shorter man at bay, use your power and use your power to hurt him. Unlike I don't know what happened to Joshua, but he looked like he was lost against Usyk, and you know I don't think that would be the case if you were fighting a guy like Alexander Usyk. My thoughts, anyway.
No. Well, I'll tell you one thing that went against him was he boxed the southpaw. That's one of the best southpaws on the planet. He's boxing.
Right,
And how many southpaws has he boxed in his whole career? One, Charles Martin.
right. So he wasn't prepared
Every
for Usyk's. Yeah,
yeah. Usyk's boxing onslaught of punches, remarkable. He's definitely a hard worker and a remarkable boxer.
you know, I want to say, like, according to Forbes magazine, your Lennox Lewis is worth something about like $150 million. I don't know if that's actually in the ballpark or not, but what's great is you made a lot of money in the ring, but you've been able to keep it, unlike a lot of other fighters. How are you able to hold it all together like that?
Well, I don't know why my friends always tell me so I can peel oranges in my pockets. So I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means.
I think it means something that you're pretty good with your money. You're pretty frugal, or something like that. Or like to keep your hands in your pockets. I don't know, something along those lines. Um, Lennox, I just any final thoughts? Like there was a rumor a little while ago that you might come out of retirement to fight Mike Tyson. Anything like that? Are you quite content with living the life you're living now?
I'm very content living the life I'm living now. But if Mike Tyson wants some, it's here. I've got lightning and thunder still here.
Well, you know what? That's there's a lot of sort of the Champions League, if you will, in terms of boxing going on these days. But that's one Champions Boxing League matchup that I'd pay to see. That's for sure. And
Right.
yeah, because Mike, he's kept himself in pretty good shape. He looks pretty good there when he's shadow boxing, at the Super Bowl, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna surprise the world when they see my body. They're gonna go, "Wow."
Wow is right, man. You always had that pretty good physique. And
Yeah.
Lennox, so I just want to say thank you for taking the time to join us. You've been awesome. I know you're a pretty good chess player, and you still do lots of that. But if you do come out of retirement, make sure to let us know. Right? Give us a call and let us
All
know.
right, I will.
And and once again, the documentary is called Lennox Lewis: The Untold Story. Absolutely magnificent. It's been an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend, and thank you for doing this. As a guest on Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show, we have some great Italian clothing for you from Classica Imports. We're going to hook you up with Jeff. He's going to give you some real nice threads, so you'll like
Oh,
that.
lovely. Great. Love that.
All right, thanks a lot, Lennox, and looking
Thanks for
forward
having me,
to
Joe.
It's absolutely my pleasure, buddy. Absolutely my pleasure. It's
All
been
right.
a lot of fun. Yeah. All right, man. One of my faves all time.
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Stay
All right,
blessed.
we got more sports when we come back. God bless.
Guests on Joe Tilley Sports receive a gift certificate from Classica Imports. Top of the line imported men's clothing. Check out the Classica Essential Collection now. Go to shopclassica.com.
Hey, this is Tommy Graisley, aka Tommy Gunn. I love two things, music and sports. And when I want sports, I go to the Joe Tilley Show. He gives me everything I want. It's a great show. Check it out for yourself. Joe Tilley Sports, coming up.
Good night. When I'm working out, I like to wear my Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show t-shirt. It makes me feel handsome and strong. If you want a t-shirt, support the show, click on the link below. Now, back to my workout. 1,761, 1,762, 1,763, 1,764. Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center, saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca. Joe Tilley Sports is brought to you by COSA, Central Ontario Standardbred Association, providing a united voice for harness horse people racing at Ontario tracks. Check out your benefits today at COSAonline.com and check out COSA TV on Facebook and YouTube for all the latest harness news and live action updates. Live racing year-round. Go to hpibet.com for all your wagering options. Become a member today, and your first bet is free. That's hpibet.com. Slow play. It's a slippery slope. First you go looking for that lost ball, and then everything goes sideways. There are a lot of golfers on the course. Make certain of your point of entry, look quickly, and move on. Remember, we're here for a good time, not a long time. Find anything, Bob?
Not yet. ShopClubLink.ca for golf equipment, demo clubs, trade-ins, golf apparel, men's and women's, custom fittings, accessories, all at your fingertips. ShopClubLink.ca.
All right, my COSA Swiss pick of the week. First of all, the 2021 O'Brien Award winners were announced. Miller Farms, who took home 3 O'Brien trophies, including the Armstrong Breeder of the Year, stole the show. North American Cup champ Desperate Man won his division, as well as the Some Beach Somewhere Horse of the Year title. Richard Moreau was named Trainer of the Year for the 9th time. Owner Brad Grant took home 2 O'Brien titles. Luke Blaze won for horsemanship, and James McDonald took the inaugural Keith Waples Driver of the Year award. All right, time for my Swiss pick of the week, and here we go. In the third race, we're going to go with, first of all, the 8th race. I'm going to go to Thursday night's card at Mohawk, the $32,000 final of the Wine and Roses Trotting Series for fillies and mares. I'm going with the 3-horse Stonebridge Strong with Chris Christopherou in the buggy. He had a tough trip in the second leg, but should be able to get it done this week. I also like the 2-3-4 Exacta Box. And Ken Middleton, our old pal Ken Middleton's giving us a pick this week. He says go with Give Me Carrots K in the third race Thursday night at Mohawk. That's the number 8 horse. Give Me Carrots K. Should read number 8 horse, number 3, but there you go. All right. My bankroll is at $92. For all the racing updates, visit COSA TV on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Go to hpibet.com for all your wagering options. Time now for the Rycom Wrap. Sports news that's close to home. Yes, the Canadian women's hockey team has rolled into the final at the Olympics. That sets up another showdown with the American side. Marie-Philippe Poulin with a couple as the Canucks stump Switzerland 10-3 in the semifinals. And another gold medal for Canada in women's long track speed skating. Isabelle Weidman, Evgeny Blondin, and Valerie Malte captured the team pursuit title. The men's team is into the quarterfinal in hockey after knocking off the host club. Stephen Dubois picked up his second medal of the games, a bronze in 500-meter short track speed skating, and Christine De Bruyne earned the bronze in the women's monobob. Another great weekend for Canadian tennis. Felix Auger-Aliassime picked up his first ATP title. The 21-year-old Canadian rolled over Stefanos Tsitsipas of Greece, the world number 4, 6-4, 6-2 at Rotterdam. Well done, Felix. He also helped Canada to the ATP team title last month. These are heady times for Canadian tennis. Well, things were looking pretty good for the Maple Leafs until they ran into a couple of hot goaltenders on the left coast. The Leafs had rung up 6 straight wins before running into a pair of piping hot tenders, one in Calgary, one in Vancouver. Thatcher Demko of the Canucks was particularly good. A 51-save effort as the Knuckleheads held off the Buds 3-2. That's going to happen in an 82-game schedule. I'm not the least bit concerned. They rebounded nicely against the Kraken. Solid game for Jack Campbell. Leafs are a good team that's going to get a little bit better at the trade deadline. I do believe they're posed for a long playoff run here, folks, and I'm sure you will all agree. Raptors saw their 8-game win streak come to a crashing halt. A tough 1-point loss to the Nuggets. Pascal Siakam coming off NBA Player of the Week honors. Spicy P poured in 35 points. All-star Freddie VanVleet added 25, but Nikola Jokic had 28 points and a massive block as time expired. The Dinos then dropped another game to the Pelicans. Thaddeus Young with his Raps debut in a losing cause. That will kick off a 5-game road swing that will be sandwiched by the All-Star break. An impressive offseason continues for the Argos. After signing All-Star running back Andrew Harris, the Boatmen have signed another big piece, scooping star receiver Brandon Banks. Banks, a former Ticat, was the CFL's most outstanding player in 2019, a former top special teams player. He's a 6-time All-Star. The man can fly. The Double Blue will be a very good team this year. A rather large effort by the Toronto Rock on the weekend. The league-leading Buffalo Bandits were in town. They dropped by the First Ontario Centre. They were a perfect 6-0 heading in. They had already rattled the Rock once this season, but not on this night. Tom Schreiber scored 4 times and passed the 300-point mark for his career. Nick Rose, 37 saves as he sprung Mitch DeSnew for a sweet breakaway goal as well. Rose with 3 assists. The Rock bounced Bandits 12-10. They improved to 5-3 with their 3rd straight win. They'll be in Albany next weekend. Okay, let's see how he made it up on the 6th screen at El Tigre this week.
Here we are at the 6th hole. Beautiful mountains in the back. Island green. This is the hole that separates the men from the boys. Joe Tilley steps up. Beautiful fountain in the background. Oh, there's There's no sound at all. Did he make it? Is he dancing? Oh my gosh. It's a miracle!
Today's environmental tip: keep your drinks in reusable containers. Instead of buying individually packaged drinks, consider buying a bulk container for your favorite beverage. And buy a reusable bottle. Not only will this help the environment, but it will also help you save money. Rycom, passionate people who turn complicated business problems into simplified technology solutions. For public and private sector real estate, properties, portfolios, and enterprise customers. Optimize and future-proof smart buildings from the ground up. Smart tech solutions, the latest in fault locating, base building network design, managed services, cybersecurity, data analytics. Our fault detection will support all smart strategies, define projected outcomes for capital planning, and reduce environmental impact. Rycom, smart protection solutions. At Rycom, we're building a path to a smart and environmentally friendly future and a carbon-free economy.
Yes, we want to thank, oh, that was a great golf show, wasn't it? We want to thank all the folks who make this show possible. Friends, trusted business associates, and all around great people. I highly recommend them all. Reminder, the show is also available on iTunes, Breaker, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, all the usuals, as well as the Spanglish Network and Zingo TV. Also, like and subscribe to the show on YouTube. Do it. We want to thank once again Lennox Lewis for being on the program today, and thank you for watching. Join us next week when Hockey Hall of Famer Angela James drops by. We'll see you then. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show is brought to you by
Brian Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in their early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today, and let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678. Do you want to buy or sell a home? Could 31 years of real estate experience help you? Why not speak to an amazing team that loves to overpromise and overdeliver? Now, Aldo and his team are amazing, best in the business. And here's a real cool thing. Just tell them that you saw this ad on this show, and you'll get 1 point off your commission. That's right, 1 point off your commission. Just call 416-GET-ALDO or visit getaldo.com for all your real estate needs. Brought to you by MNP, a leading Canadian national accounting, tax, and business consulting firm. MNP proudly serves and responds to the needs of our clients in the private, public, and non-for-profit sectors. Through partner-led engagements, MNP provides a collaborative, cost-effective approach to doing business and personalized strategies to help people and organizations succeed across the country and around the world. With local offices in Oshawa, Toronto, Mississauga, Burlington, and more, our team is here to support you. Visit mnp.ca to learn more.